First of all, congrats, everyone on the film. I know it's in its early stages of being released and you had a little preview, so it's exciting. Tell me a little bit about how it started, how you met, or where you got this idea, because it's honestly one of the first unapologetically gay, queer zombie movies I've maybe ever seen. So it's kind of really cool.
Oh, it's so cool. Well, I grew up around zombies. I always tell people I sat in a zombie's lap before I met a mall Santa. and I have a very deep affection for them, but I never thought I would enter the genre. And I had, after film school, I spent many years DJing and got my DJ stripes in the queer nightlife scene, which ended up being a really cool space to watch the evolution of the queer community over the course of several years in New York. And one year, a party where I had a residency, there was a promoter rift. One of the promoters broke off and started a rival party on the same night, which was kind of a shady thing to do. And there was big drama online. And the original promoter posted this manifesto that said, "When will the queer community stop devouring itself?" And it just hit me then and there that this was how I would want to approach the genre. Because I knew that if I were to ever do a zombie thing, I would want to do it from a place that felt authentic to me, a story that I could really tell. And I love the nightlife community so much for what it's given me as a person. And, it's where I've met so many of my closest friends, my closest collaborators. It's a place where I've been able to be unabashedly myself. And I just love the people involved in nightlife. They're some of the scrappiest, coolest, most creative, make it work types. And I wanted to tell a story about the people in this world. So from there, I linked up with my co-writer, Aaron Judge, someone I went to college with, and we've written several things together, but this is the first feature that we've tackled, and we started writing. And we wrote for a couple years, and then COVID hit, and then we really were able to get it done because we had nothing else to do. So that's when we took it to the next level, and then I met Natalie from Vanishing Angle, and that's when it became even more real, and we developed a script board. We started writing casting letters really early on in the process, and then just a little bit over a year ago, we got the green light and we said, let's go. And it's just been a whirlwind ever since.
The bars you talk about, is it Bushwick, where the film is set, or are those bars still around? Have they changed since?
The party that inspired me the most is a party that has moved locations many times. It's been in Brooklyn. It's been in Bushwick. It's been at Lot 45 in Bushwick. It started at Heather's and Nowhere Bar. It's moved many times, as these things often do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Bushwick is a particularly interesting area to me because, first of all, the look of Bushwick it's very industrial, but then you have all these amazing street murals everywhere. And I liked the idea of the characters being a little isolated. I didn't want them to be in the heart of the city because I didn't want it to be, chaos all around them. I wanted them to feel a little quieter outside. And some parts of Bushwick are pretty isolated. And you could be disconnected from the crisis going on in Manhattan for a moment. And I was going for that sort of shit's going down in Manhattan, but it hasn't gotten to Bushwick yet. So there was a little bit of a window of time for the characters to figure out what they were going to do, rather than immediately. Because I think if we were in Manhattan during a zombie apocalypse, it would be instant problem. It would be just, just forget it. Don't even try to get out. Yeah.
Also, I don't think I ever told you this.
Yeah.
The party that it's inspired by, Hot Rabbit.
Yeah.
I used to go that.
No way.
Yeah.
You used to go Hot Rabbit?
Yeah. I remember the first time I did it was a Pride, I think, of 2020.
Oh my God.
And Angela Bear Cox was the MC.
Oh yes.
And I would go those performances.
Amazing.
Which I was gagged at because I think I read something that you had mentioned.
Yes.
And I was like, wait a second.
Yes. Yeah.
I never even made that connection.
And I used to go in 2018.
Oh my God.
2019.
Those parties are fun.
They are fun. They are fun.
It was a lot the crowd was so
good crowd.
Just good vibe.
Yeah.
Also just hot people.
Yes, hot people. And I think that really speaks to the promoter of that party, Emily Smith, who the character of Dre is heavily based on. And I went to college with Emily, who runs the party. And she and I our junior year, we went abroad to France. And we were so tickled by the term chaud lapin, a hot rabbit, which means a kind of horned up person. And that's why she named it Hot Rabbit. That's why, there's so much rabbit.
I mean, I know like Easter and Resurrection,
Yeah.
like it's so perfect, but did it start because of rabbits?
Well, what happened there is because my DJ name started as DJ T-Rex, but I didn't want to write it T-Rex because of the artists from the 70s that I really love, and I was like, I don't want to copycat the T-Rex, so I did TR little tiny X, and then everyone kept calling me Trix. and I was like, you know, I don't hate it. It's fine. Let's go with it. And then I had a gig one night, the weekend after the Pulse shootings in Orlando, and I felt really weird about it. I felt like, I don't know, I felt dark and upset, and I felt strange playing a party after that shooting, and I found myself that afternoon at my favorite store, Abracadabra, the costume shop, and the rabbit mask just like called my name, and I answered, and I picked it up, and I decided to wear it that night, and I felt, number one, I realized like how crucial it was that we did still party and that we didn't feel too afraid to be together because of what happened. And then I also felt like transported, and I had a whole nother confidence. All of a sudden, I was like, wow, I was like playing whatever I wanted. I had no nerves. I was like, this is amazing. This is my new alter ego. And that's when DJ Trix really was born. And from there, it kind of evolved, and she started wearing like wigs and more rabbit masks. And like I upgraded the rabbit mask, and that was, and so I would say there's like some connect, because I chose the rabbit because of Hot Rabbit, but then I kind of took it further into my own like DJ personality. So that's the rabbit.
Wow.
But yeah, there's a strong rabbit.
There's a lot.
I just thought it was like so brilliant, like the Easter resurrection theme, which is like so perfect. But I love that it all ties into
Even that, it just like ties a pretty bow on you, and adding all of that, which we'll get to because I have lots of thoughts about using that as your setting of like Easter.
Do
Do you have any comment, Natalie, on what sparked you or what?
I just, as soon as I met Tina, when I got sent the script and the lookbook, it was at a time when we weren't looking at any new projects. We were like, our bandwidth was like too high, and it was like, okay, we're not taking on any new things. But I just glanced through the lookbook, and I was like, fuck. I love this so much. And then I read the script, and then I also loved the script. And then I met with Tina. I think we talked for like 2 hours.
Yeah, we were
the first meeting. And we like hit it off, and I was like, fuck. And so I literally went to the president of the company, and I was like, I think we need to do this movie. I know we said we weren't going to be taking on any new projects. And then he met with her, and it was just like, and here are the scripts. And so that's how like it all happened. But it was like just because like I fell in love with it, like when I wasn't supposed to, which I also feel like is like how the best love is born. You know? Like it's just like, Tina's vision for this film was so strong from the get-go, and the lookbook, I think a lot of people have mentioned it as just being fully the man. I think you did. Because her vision for the how the zombies were going to look, like how stylized it was with like the glitter blood and like all this stuff. It just and it was just so fun and so unique and
exciting and vibrant and honestly fresh to the scene, to movies in general. Bringing in our actors. How did you get involved, and what excited you about a project like that?
Well, like Natalie was saying, when I got the lookbook, the kind of PowerPoint of what the world was going to look like, I was immediately just like, okay, yes, this summer is going to be crazy, but now it's going to be even crazier because we're going to do this zombie movie, which is amazing. And I just believed in it kind of immediately. I don't even think that Tina and we had talked on the phone. We hadn't seen each other face to face, but I just believed her.
In the makeup chair doing a test meeting.
Yes, doing it. Yes, that's our face. That was our face to face. Yes, was the test makeup. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so true. But the getting involved in it happened very fast. It happened really, really fast. Like within the span of 3 weeks, my manager was like, "This has come to us, and we need to make a decision pretty much like today, like in the next 24 to 48 hours." But I was just so game. And you could just tell, like, before filming even started, that everyone was committed to the project. Like, we were going to make it happen however we needed to, one way or another. One way or another. And we made it.
I got the script and also just the idea of being a part of this through the costume designer, David Tappert, because he was the costume designer of Fire Island. and he had messaged me. It was like, hey, I'm working on this new film. I think there's a role that's really perfect for you. And I was like, okay, let me see. So I read the script, and I was like, yeah, this is really perfect for me. I connected with Nico immediately, just like how they interact with the world in the film. Also their relationship with the other characters in the film. It seemed very much so similar to like how I'm feeling in my career about like, just kind of feeling like the new girl, surrounded by, other veteran actors, and always feeling like I kind of have to make my mark and prove that I belong in a space. I think Nico, is feeling the same way with this, queer group of people at the nightlife scene. And also, I think something that I really, really loved when I was reading it was the connection that Tina is making with the other Romero films about like how this film and how honestly the Romero legacy always speaks about like the times in which the film is coming out. Like George was never afraid to talk about like the political climate of the world. Like with Night of the Living Dead, there was a lot of discussion about like race about the film, and how like he decided and he wasn't afraid to make a black man a lead. I think Tina's doing the same thing, but within the queer community and like speaking about the challenges that we face, that sometimes people don't even talk about, not to give much away, but like, the fact that like a lot of the things that we enjoy to do can be tainted, and what would happen if the things that we do enjoy to do were to like start an apocalypse, to say the least. And also, like, it's also so beautiful putting queer characters as the story and not as the punchline, or like as like queer coded characters. Like there's so much in horror that I think the queer community connects to because of the fact that like we can relate to being hunted, or like we can relate to being othered, and like also the transformative action that comes with horror in general. But I think something that's really beautiful about this film is that it's at the forefront. It's our story to tell, and I think we're doing it. Hopefully, I think you'll be the judge. Well, we'll see.
I'll be the judge of that.
You mentioned Fire Island.
Yes.
You mentioned Fire Island, which is a star Margaret show. Did that help you feel? You say you feel like the new gal in town. Like, did that help?
That relationship that you fostered from that, did that help things, or did that change your...
I'm pretty sure Margaret's
Yeah, like Margaret is always Auntie Margaret. Margaret was a safe space during Fire Island for me, and so to have her during this production was, it was kind of like a gift. Yeah, for many reasons. I think Margaret has always made me feel seen and safe. And so having her for Queens of the Dead was just, it made it that much more special. I don't know, it kind of just felt like a reunion, And she's always been so supportive of me. Auntie Margaret down, always and forever.
The movie feels like a safe space in the queer community itself.
Yeah, and also like, even within the community, not everyone does get along in the community, and I think specifically for a movie like this where it's like the world is ending, how do we put our differences aside and realize that like no matter what, we are a community. We got to get through this apocalypse somehow.
I mean, even your character Nico and West's character, Tonic, they are butting heads in the beginning.
Exactly.
And they make it work.
Yeah, T. Yeah, 1000. I agree. You ate that.
Julie J.
Yes.
You start off the movie.
The first thing that you see.
Incredible.
I know. I saw at Comic-Con, we watched the opening scene. So I've
Strutting
seen
down the
it.
street.
I know. Daywalker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sneering
Daywalker.
at you're walking by.
Yes.
That was
That was Natalie. I know.
And then you walk into a church.
Yes.
You tip Mary.
Yes.
And then you go on Skins to find a hookup.
Yes, as we do, as one does.
Religion is obviously an important concept to the film, and
Yes.
I think one that has difficulty with the queer community.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give away your...
I know. It's so, as you were talking, I was like, Spoiler alert. No, it's so interesting though. When I read that scene, I was like, I thought about it. To me, I feel like I'm going to be very like historical with drag right now, but like it's a very kind of old school drag queen mentality of like going back to your roots in a way, like this queen going back to church and being like, this at one point or another was a safe space, and if it wasn't a safe space, I'm going to make it my safe space. Like I'm going to take up the space that I deserve, right? As things progress, you know, we learn that there's safety means different things to different people. But it also, there's such a humor in that, right? Of like, of course, this queen like went to church and then immediately is distracted by a hookup. That's like, oh, that would only happen to a drag queen. That would only happen to a drag queen. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that scene goes into another religious scene, or it's a drag sequence relating Easter, the resurrection, and Nina as Gen Z again is dressed up as the Virgin Mary performing "Glow" by Kesha. She turns into the Playboy bunny, and it's just like, it is such a whirlwind. So I want to hear about your decision on that, and this maybe choosing the song and how that came about, if that was special to you, or just how religion plays and how that maybe you grew up with around it.
Yeah, I did not grow up very religious. My dad identified as a recovering Catholic, but you can't deny that there's something, in resurrection, zombies, it's there. It's a motif that I wanted to play in, because I think, first of all, religion does not have to be a part of a queer person's life. Just those things can be the same, and so there's no reason that a drag queen could not be going to church, and so that was one thing I wanted to point out, is that like these two things don't have to be in conflict with one another. I also, Easter falls in April, and April in New York is a really frenetic time in the city. The snow has melted, the flowers are blooming, like we are out, we're feeling excited, and it just happens to be Easter. So I wanted to set the movie in spring in New York because I wanted that energy, and it just was like, perfect, let's do it on Easter, because why not? And I think that there's a way that my dad played with these lines that are blurry, where there isn't necessarily a solution to, or a reason behind the zombie apocalypse, that it's like, well, maybe it is religious, maybe it is Easter, or maybe it is the drugs, or maybe it is just the deep collective human longing that we all have to be better. And so I liked dancing around all these motifs. And I also, as much as I like saying queer people can be in religion, I also like this sort of Jesus imagery fuckery that happens at a drag number, because I like when, as queer people, we take it and we reclaim something and we make it our own, and we figure out how to make it a look, and we figure out how to make it a show. And so I just wanted to get in there and say, like, if we're gonna go, let's put thorned crowns on the go-go dancers, like, and I think it's provocative and delicious.
It's amazing, yeah.
And as far as Kesha, okay, let's talk about Kesha. We knew we needed a song. We needed to clear a song before we shot, because it's a lip sync number. And so we had sort of a running list of songs that could work, and the criteria was, what is a song that more than one generation of person might recognize? Like something that's recognizable, so because your audience is maybe singing along in their head a little bit, like they know it, because that's also a part of a drag number, is like crowd pleasingness, and like you're familiar with the song. And then what song has lyrics that work for the scenario? And so we had a list of them, but the one that was always in the top, and I think you were on the same page with me about Kesha. I was like, I think Kesha Blow is it. I think it's the lyrics actually make sense for the situation, and it's Kesha, and Kesha is such a darling for my musical life. There were some key Kesha moments in my life, and Blow was a big one for me, and that one quickly rose to the top, and it really became a question of, were we going to be able to clear the license for a cover? And at first we were going to go after the cover to do our own cover, and then we shot we shot to it, and then it's like at the same time it happens that Kesha is coming out with a new album and going on tour this summer, and it all felt very serendipitous and perfect. And so then we were like, no, we have to fight for the real Kesha, and so we ultimately were able to get it, and it's so exciting.
Our music supervisor, they warned us from the top there. They're like, this is gonna be too hard,
too expensive. We're never gonna get it.
Up pulling it off.
Yeah, she really fun. Yeah, because honestly, once we shot to Kesha, and then we were debating about making this cover, and I was just like, it just feels homophobic to do a Kesha cover in the year of a Kesha comeback. We can't have sound like Kesha. We do have a cover of the song later on in the movie, and she and her team have heard it and they love it.
We dated her on this press tour.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah,
Believe it
it's
or
good.
not.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Is Jaquel singing?
The cover?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
That's
so good.
It's like the fact that you have the song and then you have this reprise and the meaning, what you were talking about, and then the meanings of the film where they're placed.
Yeah.
It all fits together.
It does.
It's just, and you feel that energy.
Yes, I'm so happy you feel that. I saw Jaquel in A Strange Loop and just was floored. I spent the next week stalking any video of that musical and of Jaquel I could find. I just couldn't get enough. I was just captivated by Jaquel.
She was sending us videos of him.
Yeah.
We're in the process of this is who I call. We're like, okay, there we are.
And I just think that Jaquel is the voice of an angel and is just has a really special magical energy. And I as an audience member, I fall in love with him immediately, and I was so happy that he was willing to sing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tomas, you mentioned the political moment that we're in, and relating that to, I think, what a lot of young people are obsessed with, be it social media, on their phones. That's a big image in the film too. And, there's a message about club drugs and how that can affect the community or just people in general. Jane's story about Oxycontin and going through that. So how did that help you connect with your character? And maybe it will help connect with audiences also, with people who, again, have different experiences with all of those things.
So me personally, I'm sober, and I always think, I remember talking to you about just the state of partying today and how it has gotten extremely dangerous. As of recent too, there has been so many more overdoses and deaths because of the state of the party drugs that are out. And I remember just thinking I'm very happy that I got sober when I did, because I feel like I could have been in a place, that I probably don't want to be. And I think Nico grapples with feeling like it's their fault, whatever is happening in the film. But yeah, I think for me, that was also one of the things when I found that theme, because I think it is underlying, that I was like, oh shit, it kind of brought purpose to, I think, who Nico is and who Nico wants to be in this world.
Did you feel any connection with that? Those themes of social media obsession, or feeling like a zombie tied to your phone and wanting freedom from that, or the drugs component and addiction?
It's so interesting because I remember talking to Tina a little bit in the beginning of the process about the phone, and then of course the app. What's that? Skins. The Skins. How the minute that things start to go wrong is the minute that we're distracted. The minute that we're not focused on living, the moment that we're not in the moment, as soon as we get pulled away to this other thing, that's when kind of chaos, starts to reign. And so I, even though it's kind of a shitty situation for Z Queen, I kind of love that this hookup notification is ultimately the thing that sets the stage for the delicious sausage that is consumed for the hour and whatever minutes that the film is. But yeah.
Maybe hinting at some of that.
Yeah.
Incredible practical effects. I think you're following in your father's footsteps of, showing the core and some really cool costumes, if we want to talk about the fashion, I love Yasmin's gold, silverware, encrusted armor and stilettos and also Samante's use of stilettos too. So if you can talk about the fashion or what was your favorite piece, because we get some great numbers and makeovers that have some very standout pieces, I would say.
I would say, like, for my outfit, which I guess I'm thinking about the cutout right now, the cardboard cutout. I remember when I first saw, like, the pieces that I was going to be wearing, and I was like, this is wild. Like, and not only to be wearing all of these rhinestones and this hair, and, I mean, we had the best hair and makeup and costume team. Like, everyone was just so communicative, at least from my perspective. I don't know how it felt for everybody else, but for me at least, it's like everyone was in communication about, like, all right, how can this help this thing look like this? How can we because at least for me, like, there were scenes I was in it was daytime, like 12 noon, the sun is out. How is it going to be impactful there versus how it's going to be impactful in the middle of the club? How is it going to be impactful when I'm standing in an alleyway? You know, like, and these kind of, like, building a silhouette. Like, I feel like that kind of became a big part of it, at least for me. But there's so many other costumes. Hair as a weapon.
Period.
I was thinking about earlier today. Hair as a weapon.
Yeah, I think hair and makeup I think it's a really big part of, well, first of all, just queer people in general. I think that's how we express ourselves, through our hair, through our makeup, through what we wear. And I think in this film, it's no different. I think David Tabard, like, really ate literally what everyone is wearing. And I'm very happy that I got to take something home that I can now wear in my day-to-day. Also, the collaboration of it all. Like, I remember speaking to Tina and speaking to the hair team and being like, I think I want my hair to be long and in braids, and I want the inches that come with, like, and also the power that comes with that. I like to consider it the body armor of Clint. You know, like, in Christianity, it's the body armor of Christ. You got, like, you know, all the thingies. I forget what they say in the Bible. But for me, it's biblical tees. For me, it's the body armor of Clint. And I think, like, my hair is a piece, you know, the nails, my heels, and also, like it helps me kind of get ready for battle, which honestly is, like, very important, especially in this film, because we are getting ready for battle. Yeah.
But our sound designer did a whole day fully just for Nico and put on nails to do Nico's nails, like, had created a custom situation for the hair. But yeah, shout out to Christina Grant, our head of makeup, Mitchell Beck, our head of hair, and David Tabard, our costume designer, who was also nominated for Best Costume Design for a Pride Award. Yeah. We have four nominations. They all just absolutely did the most. Like, they really nailed it. I couldn't be happier. And David Tabard and I, we were talking for about, because you worked with David Tabard on Werewolves Within. And you knew immediately, you were like, Tabard is the right one. I met with Tabard. We started talking maybe like 2 years before we actually made the film. So we had a long time to bond and talk about, like, the vision. We were talking about what Nico was wearing for 2 years. And that was always very important to me, that the wardrobe was on point. If we were going to do this movie, we always knew that the costumes really had to take priority. And everyone's pretty much wearing one look the whole night. There is a makeover moment, there is a weaponizing moment, but for Dre, she's in one outfit all night. And I just think he did such a good job at the color story and the shapes and the silhouettes, and everyone looks so good. I'm just blown away with what they did. And Christina Grant got the assignment right away with the glam zombies, and it was Mitch Beck. He came on really late too, and he was like, I had an amazing call with him specifically about Zama Queen's hair. And he just was like, I get what you want with this blue. And he custom made these wigs. He is custom creating. You know, he is layering, pitting for days. Like, he's a true artist. All of them. Yeah.
They're not small.
No. Yeah.
You mentioned before that I want to get back to just really quickly is how the setting of Bushwick, or the quieter parts of New York, can set the scene. And you get that with the hair and the makeup, and they're so many personalities going on, but they all feel unique. And you get to see each of them transform. The zombies also pop, obviously. And Julie J, you mentioned the glitter blood that was in the lookbook. Is that right? So was that look inspired from anywhere? The shiny, you'll know it when you see it kind of appearance.
There's blood in it?
There's blood. I felt very strongly that I didn't want to do hyper realistic zombies with, ripped denim and flannel and rotting flesh. It just is, that's a very specific zombie and there's totally a place for it, but that's not the kind of zombie I wanted to do. I wanted to go back to more the Dawn of the Dead look of the green skin. It's like where you paint them and you commit to what your zombie looks like, and that's what you do. And then I think it was Christina Grant who said, what if we put just a little shimmer? And it looked great. I said yes. And then as far as the blood, I knew that was something I really wanted to do early on, was put glitter in the blood. I knew that I wanted to find a way to, how can we invite new audiences into gore? What if it's not hyper-realistic looking gore? What if there's a hint of something beautiful in it? I talked a lot about the artist Marilyn Minter, whose work I love and I find to be this really cool mashup of beauty and viscera. And it's a little grotesque, but it's also very beautiful. And that's what I was going for with the glitter blood. And also, it's drag,
Gays love glitter.
Yeah. Our stunt coordinator, he hates glitter. He has banned glitter from his house, and he has 2 daughters.
Yeah.
And he came in one day and he was like, all of my mats and pads are covered in glitter.
It's like going to the beach and you find
That was going to be you couldn't get away without it. I definitely went home with glitter at some point.
Every day.
Now I'm thinking about the mats and I'm like, I think that was me.
Oh, it's all of it.
I think that was one of those.
I just got an email from him last week and he was like, I still have glitter on my back.
We're going to talk about Barry just a little bit, because you have a very nearly entirely queer past.
Yeah.
For a film made for queer people especially, do you hope that he is a surrogate of types of an audience that you hope to reach that may not be looking to potentially go to your film on first watch?
Yeah, I absolutely was thinking that the character of Barry would be a great surrogate for anyone who is completely unfamiliar with this world, because he is unfamiliar with this world as a character. He's also, oh God, I love this character. I love this character so much because I think he represents something that I think is pretty problematic in our world right now, which is the way that we can write each other off based on the different algorithms that we're on. And how I think a lot of intolerance doesn't actually come from real intolerance. I think it comes from just not knowing people and not really understanding what someone else, just sort of not being familiar, not having the information. And so I wanted to have a character that was written off by our main characters, who comes into the room is okay, who is this guy? He doesn't belong here. And so it's going both ways. The queers are a little bit standoffish to Barry, and Barry's I don't know what this is. And I wanted them to find friendship at the end. Because I think that's real. I think that's important. And I think that I know a lot of people in my life who are I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is steel country. And there's a lot of folks in my life who might be on a certain kind of podcast, have a certain kind of flag in their yard, but aren't homophobic, but just don't have the experience, have the connections, have not been to a gay bar, but would have a good time if they came. And that's what I wanted to show with Barry, is someone who's actually would never have expected to be here on the night the shit goes down, but is really glad that he is at the end of the day. Because it is probably the place you'd most want to be, in my opinion, is with a bunch of queers who are going to get it done.
I mean, we have bills passed and introduced every day, anti-trans bills, anti-LGBT, and he comes in misgendering characters and not knowing, and I totally agree with what you're saying. It's about confronting and giving hope, even through Barry. What inspirations for the film, maybe apart from your legacy as a Romero and your connection to zombies, but either queer films or artists that have inspired the film or your journey as actors, filmmakers?
Well, I'm a huge Baz Luhrmann fan. Moulin Rouge is one of my favorite movies ever. I'm also John Cameron Mitchell, Hedwig and the Angry Inch movie. I just when I saw Hedwig and the Angry Inch, I was like, this is what movies should be. And I call myself an edgy cheeseball. I love the musicals. I love the Gilmore Girls. I could dominate a Gilmore Girls competition. It's one thing that people don't know about me. But I also love the Chompers. I love Jaws. I love Jurassic Park. Cocaine Bear was my favorite movie of the year 3 years ago.
Justice.
And so aesthetically, I feel like I kind of am a mashup of these things, like The Dark and the Light, the musical, and the Chopper film. And musically, I actually started a playlist before I started a lookbook, because a lot of things start for me in the music space. And I was listening to a lot of the Liza Minnelli Pet Shop Boys album. I don't know if you know this album, but it's amazing. It's a Liza Minnelli Pet Shop Boys collab album, and that when I was writing, I was listening to that a lot. And that's
I think I remember reading
in the script
that had all of the
Yes, they do. It's really wild to hear her voice with their sound. It's great. It's dramatic. It's dramatic.
Yeah, you are introduced to so many, and growing up, I mean, Kesha was absolutely like a part of my high school experience.
Were you excited to hear Kesha come on?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, good. That's great.
I think for this movie, I wasn't really allowed to watch horror growing up. Like, it was kind of like forbidden in my Christian household. But my in through the horror genre was through horror comedy. So the scary movie, the scary movie franchise was how I was introduced to things like Ghostface, and introduced to the horror film genre. And I think it makes sense for me as someone who I think has mainly done comedy to kind of find that route in. I think that is kind of my through line into this genre, which is also why I really wanted to do this, because it is horror comedy. Yeah. And I think in terms of inspirations of other actors, I look at Laverne Cox and Billy Porter, and people who have been able to kind of pave their own way and blaze a trail for other TGNZ actors. And I just hope to, keep blazing their trail and then find my own, that I can keep pushing the envelope forward and helping other actors, who don't tend to get seen, feel seen. I think that's the whole point, at least for me, of being an actor. And I find that inspiration through other actors. And to be seen. I was thinking recently, I was like, when I was in acting school, would I have told 18-year-old Julie that she would be playing opening a zombie movie as a drag queen? It goes into a church and has a chance encounter. These things, it's we're really this movie, I think, and I think all of the actors in the movie might agree, is that we're blazing a new trail, right? So one day, someone's going to watch this and they will be able to answer this question and say, well, actually, if in the realm of queer horror, I was very inspired by Things of the Dead. Right? Because it's something that has not necessarily happened before. The same way that Scary Movie allowed for Black and brown voices to take up space in a horror genre. It, of course, takes different shapes and different forms, but the same way that we've been so inspired, I know that this will now inspire